Today, we become legends.
Hey, my name's Inter, welcome back to the channel for another Titan Talk recap. Today's showcase had a lot of new info about patch OB4, which is launching next week, as well as some questions answered about features and gods further down the pipeline. So without further ado, let's jump in. So first up, Awilix and Artemis were showcased in full. I'll give you a very brief rundown of their changes here, but I have a full video linked below showcasing them in-game if you want more details. Artemis can now see enemies in stealth grass within basic attack range. Her 2 now stacks up charges up to 4 from hitting enemy gods with basic attacks while it's active. Hitting 4 charges adds 3 seconds to the buff duration, and this can keep going indefinitely if you keep landing basic attacks. Artemis is also launching with an aspect that makes her traps no longer root or cripple, but deal AoE damage in a larger area, and will activate on minions and jungle camps. Awilix has a remodel. Her passive gets 2 seconds extra duration if you engage the fight by jumping off Suku. Her 3 can now be used while riding Suku and will not dismount you for doing so, and finally, her ultimate will allow her feather step to always be max value for the duration of the stim. Awilix won't be launching with an aspect though. Again, more info in my dedicated video linked below about these two, but I wanted to keep it brief here in the interest of time since I've already covered them in a previous video. There's going to be a new store page launching with OB4 that showcases featured skins and has a page for chests which are also going to be launching in OB4, so that's pretty cool. Thor is getting an aspect in OB4 which takes away the strength scaling from his 2 and the double return damage on his hammer, but makes his Thunderstruck passive effect always active, and it heals him and trembles nearby enemies for every 3 times he triggers the effect on a god. His passive will also grant protections instead of strength with the aspect on. They also mentioned another aspect will be coming in OB4 for a currently existing god, but it wasn't ready to be showcased today. Some new items, returning items, and changes are also coming in OB4, with Bancroft's Talon making a return, acting basically the same as its Smite 1 version, but of course granting intelligence instead of magical power. In a similar vein, Typhon's Fang is getting its old Smite 1 passive added to it that increases your healing from lifesteal and grants intelligence based on your lifesteal. It isn't gaining the percent pen it had in Smite 1, with AoE lifesteal on gods healing for full value in Smite 2 instead of 1/3 value like it did in Smite 1, these items could get pretty scary. Magi's Cloak is also returning in OB4 with better base stats than its Smite 1 counterpart, which should help a lot with all the CC flying around in Smite 2 right now with the 1 relic system. Tanks got Mantle of Discord pretty recently, so squishies now have a good option for dealing with CC and Magi's Cloak, or even tanks to be fair. I think this item will just be good in general under the 1 relic system. And finally, for new items in OB4, Nimble Ring is being added, which is basically an intelligence attack speed item with Nimble Bancroft's passive from Smite 1, where you gain attack speed and basic attack damage based on your intelligence. It doesn't appear to have a cap of 20 stacks like Nimble Bancroft's did, so this might be pretty scary on Aspect Sol as a 1 item fix that grants her a ton of attack speed and basic attack damage while retaining the high ability burst of the aspect. Individual ability cast modes will also be coming soon, probably in OB4. You can set each god's cast mode individually, as well as your relic and active item cast modes, which will also save per god. For example, if you had a specific active item you always go on a certain god and you want it to be on a certain cast mode, like instant or quick or whatever. They mentioned that new strength ability based and bruiser items are now a high priority since they were focusing on hunter items, then intelligence items more recently, so expect changes and or new items for strength and bruiser builds pretty soon. Similarly, anti-heal and anti-shield items were also mentioned as high priority, so expect some new items in that vein sometime soon as well. An apply all button for cosmetics like loading frames, badges, jump stamps, etc. is also fairly high priority for them, and we should hopefully see that sometime soon. OB4 balance changes aren't ready yet and so weren't talked about, but they said they were reviewing the data from this weekend and cooking up some balance changes for OB4, and if anything major needs addressing before next week, they'll release a hotfix for it. They once again mentioned the tanks not being tanky in the late game issue and said it won't be in OB4, but they're working on some way to address it in some kind of system and will probably be in OB5. They briefly mentioned something about a pot experiment, but didn't give any details. No, they're not stoners. They were talking about power potions, I assume, so maybe they're working on something to do with 3k pots or potentially even 500 pots making a return. Ajax did say that adding a 3k defense pot wouldn't really fix the core issue for tanks late game and could cause other issues like squishies buying it and the game stalling out because everyone is too tanky, so we're likely not going to see a 3k defense pot anytime soon. They are adding a way to see what damage type a god does in the tab screen. It's very likely to make it into OB4, but if not, then it will be there for OB5. They're aware of the bug that sometimes gives assault teams 2 healers and they're working on fixing it. They mentioned that Sunbeam Bow not working on Yamoja is probably not intended, so that might be a working interaction once again at some point soon. They said they don't want to do a comprehensive god roadmap or tiering system to showcase which gods are coming way out into the future, because plans can change and also it kills the hype a little bit when everyone knows exactly what gods are coming next. But they are still open to doing a smaller roadmap after Barry releases features to showcase the next few gods coming to Smite 2. And finally, flash testing for OB4 will start tomorrow or Wednesday, so that's when we'll be able to check out all these new features like Artemis and Awilix, the new items, the store page, chests, all that kind of stuff. I'll be playing the flash test as much as I can over on Twitch, so be sure to follow me there and catch the action live. But that's all I got for today's recap. A bit of a shorter one, as a lot of the time on today's talk was taken up by Artemis and Awilix, which I've made a dedicated video for already, but hopefully this was still helpful for you guys, and I'll catch you in another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.